Ever wondered why some people manipulate, groom, or coercively control others? What's really going on in the mind of a manipulator? It's not just about control or cruelty. It starts with something much deeper. I'm Callie Sorensen. I hold a master's in the psychology of coercive control, and I'm the creator of Become Ungroomable, an online course designed to help you recognize and prevent manipulative relationships. In this video, we're diving into the psychology of manipulation, why people manipulate, what drives their behavior, and how understanding this can help protect yourself. Everything begins with needs, not just physical needs like food or shelter, but emotional and psychological needs. Safety, acceptance, connection, respect, and love. These needs are as vital as water, but they're often dismissed as being needy. But when they go unmet, especially in childhood, they create emotional starvation that sticks around. That hunger lives in the body and shows up in behavior. If someone doesn't know how to meet these needs healthily, they reach for power instead. They manipulate, they deceive, they dominate. Every action, even manipulation, is an attempt to meet a need. Healthy people do this with honesty, empathy, and mutual care. They want both people to win. Manipulators don't. They operate from a survival mindset. How can I get what I need, even if it costs you? Most manipulators don't even know what they need. They're so disconnected from vulnerability that instead of saying, I feel insecure or I need validation, they grasp for control. Because they learned vulnerability is dangerous. In their world, expressing a need equals rejection, humiliation, or punishment. So they unconsciously say to themselves, to be safe, I must control others. They suppress and bypass emotions. They've never learned emotional intelligence or safety. So they take it from you, using your empathy, attention, and energy in place of real healing. It's unconscious. They are surviving. But that strategy is toxic, and it leaves you drained and disconnected from your own truth. This often stems from emotional neglect in childhood. The assumption that only physical needs matter is dangerous. Unmet emotional and psychological needs can cause inner fragmentation, insecurity, fear, and if not healed, it spills outwards as control, rage, apathy, or manipulation. We rarely learn how to meet emotional needs in a win-win way, how to ask, listen, negotiate. Most groomers grew up in homes where power, not understanding, got their needs met. Love was very conditional. So they learned, in order to get my needs met, I must perform or dominate, not connect. Now, as adults, they lack emotional self-awareness and they operate from low consciousness and project their pain outward. In short, they manipulate because they never learned how to connect or have their emotional needs met in healthy ways. Instead, they use others as tools. Now that you understand how unmet needs drive manipulation, let's go deeper. Manipulation isn't just behavior. It's a system of survival strategies, avoidance, and distorted thinking. Manipulators aren't all plotting in secret. Many are running on very unconscious scripts: fear, shame, disconnection that's repeated over and over and over again. In order to protect their fragile sense of self, they create confusion, control dynamics, and emotional dependency. So now I want to walk you through the 5 psychological drivers behind manipulation, so you stop personalizing it and begin protecting your peace. Number 1, a fragmented sense of self. At the core of most manipulative behaviors is this: they don't know who they are. They have no stable values, no clear self-awareness or sense of self. Their self-worth depends on how others see them. Without admiration or control, they feel invincible. So they shape your perception to feel real. This is why they're obsessed with performance and image and power. They're curating, not connecting. Deep down, unconsciously, they fear if someone sees the real me, they'll leave. So they hide behind charm and dominance and manipulation. They don't show up authentically. They overcompensate because facing themselves feels like collapse, like death. Number 2, shame and avoidance. Underneath the control lies shame. Not I did something wrong, but I am wrong. I'm unlovable. Most manipulators won't admit it. Often they don't even know it's there. Their behaviors are driven by a need to avoid feeling that shame. They reject you first. They create confusion. They avoid intimacy and accountability. Being seen is their biggest threat. Shame traps them in survival mode, and it traps you in their emotional chaos. Number 3, projection and blame. When a manipulator can't sit with their own emotions, their shame, guilt, insecurity, fear, or grief, they find someone to offload it onto, and that someone is usually you. You become the problem. They blame you for being too sensitive, too emotional, overreacting, or never satisfied. This is the projection, pushing their pain onto you and punishing you when it shows. It's emotional manipulation. They make you the villain to avoid facing their own dysfunction and fragile identity. And if you try to speak up, they gaslight, deflect, attack your character, not because they're right, but because they fear reality. This isn't communication, it's emotional warfare. It's ego protection, not relationship. And make sure you check out my other video on Darvo. Number 4, control equals safety. They don't know how to ask for what they need. They don't know how to feel secure, so they control instead. Their brain learned early on that people are not safe, so control them instead. To them, that is love, because unpredictability once meant danger. But here's the truth. Just because their control comes from pain doesn't mean it's safe for you. Understanding their wounds doesn't mean that you should stay in harm's way. Number 5, low consciousness and high avoidance. Many manipulators are highly intelligent, but operate from a very low level of consciousness. Consciousness is not about IQ. It's about self-awareness, emotional responsibility, empathy, and the willingness to reflect. At low levels of consciousness, people operate from fear, control, and survival mode, not from connection or growth. Low consciousness looks like no self-reflection, no empathy, no accountability. They don't ask, is this fair or how might this affect the other person? They only ask, does this get me what I want? They chase power, safety, validation, and avoid feeling discomfort at all costs. That's why the same patterns keep repeating. Different faces, same game. No healing, no growth. Instead of facing their inner wounds, they use other people to avoid them. And here's the danger. Their avoidance becomes your trauma. Their refusal to evolve is your emotional wound. Low consciousness doesn't ask, is this right? It only asks, is this working for me? One critical truth is trauma and unmet needs may explain the origin, but it does not excuse the behavior. Almost all of us carry childhood wounds, but most don't become manipulators. They had a hard life. Knowing that they had a hard life does not justify coercion. Everyone can reflect, grow, and choose differently, but only if they want to. Manipulation is repetitive. It requires accountability and consequences. You have the right and responsibility to protect yourself, to set boundaries, to set strong consequences, to stop absorbing their chaos. Your empathy is a gift, not a permission slip to abandon yourself. So here is what you can start doing. Awareness is your first defense. When you understand the why behind manipulation, you stop internalizing it. You stop making it your fault. So continue to educate yourself. Awareness and education is protection. Also, you can communicate clearly. Know your worth. See the wisdom in your feelings. State your needs. Set limits, set consequences, and enforce them. Reclaim your power. And if you've struggled with this, it's not because you're broken. It's because no one taught you how to protect yourself from emotional and psychological manipulation. And that's exactly why I created my course, Become Ungroomable. It gives you the tools to trust yourself, to build strong boundaries, see through the charm that used to confuse you. When you know your worth and you speak your truth, manipulators lose their control. Manipulation is born from shame, fear, and unmet needs, but understanding that doesn't make it safe to stay. Your job is not to rescue or heal a manipulator. It's to recognize the pattern, step out of the abuse, and reclaim your power. Check out my Toxic Tactic playlist to educate yourself and build more awareness. If this resonated, share your story or questions in the comments. You're not alone. You're not here to carry their pain. You're here to choose your peace, and every boundary you set is a step back toward yourself.